Will council please come to order? And will the clerk please call the roll?
Anderson.
Present.
Oliver. Here. Ford.
Here.
Hagersmith.
Here.
Mattingly.
Here.
Sutphen.
Here.
Watson.
Present.
We'll begin this evening with the consent agenda, and that consists of two items. Approval of the Town Council minutes for January 7, and also the 2025 Blacksburg legislative priorities. What is council's pleasure to do with our consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Hagersmith.
Aye.
Mattingly.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Watson.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
We have no public hearings this evening, so I will open it up to citizen comments. Are there any citizens here today who would like to make comments? Okay. This could be on the topic of your choice. Please let us have your name and address, and you've been here before, so you know there's a timer, and it'll go 3 minutes.
My name is Don Upham. I'm currently living in a motorhome in Christiansburg. I'm looking for a house in Blacksburg, where I formerly was professional faculty at Virginia Tech. My comment is from the Bible. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumbled and fell. Though an army may encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war may rise against me, in this I will be confident. One thing I have desired of the Lord, that I will seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, and behold the beauty of the Lord, to inquire of his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle he shall hide me. He shall set me on high upon a rock, and now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies all around me. Therefore I will offer sacrifices of joy in his tabernacles. I will sing, yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy upon me and answer me. When you said, seek me in my face, my heart said to you, your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not leave me or forsake me, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsook me, the Lord will take care of me. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me in the smooth path because of my enemies. Do not deliver me to the will of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, such as breathe out violence. I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during citizen comments? Okay, thank you. We will move on then to unfinished business, and that is our capital improvement program.
And there's no staff report. We held the public hearing at your last meeting 2 weeks ago. Had a couple of comments, and we discussed those comments at the work session last week. So if there's any questions before you vote, we'd be happy to answer them.
Do you have any remaining questions or comments or discussion? Okay. What is council's pleasure on our capital improvement program?
I move approval of Resolution 1C25, and that's a resolution adopting the capital improvement program for fiscal years 2025, 2026 through 2029, 2030.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And now do we have discussion? I want to make reference to one thing that I did not previously make reference to, and that was, although I think you did, Manager, and that is some pretty lengthy, very thoughtful comments that came from Dr. Charles Shade. And I have to say, I confess, that I think some of his hesitation about our over-under parking garage are well-placed, and I share some of his concerns. He's concerned generally about how much we need it, also about the cost, although it's substantially less than a fancier one would be. His preference, he says, is for more housing downtown and for attracting businesses that will make it possible for people to live downtown without needing an automobile. And in fact, that is what was originally planned for, was an elaborate, taller parking garage that was wrapped in housing. So I share his concerns, and I feel disappointed, but sometimes we need to be nimble problem solvers, and I think in this case we are balancing it along with a need for improved fields and more policing and a variety of other things that the town is faced with at this moment. Anybody else?
Related to that, I sort of have a question. In the letter, he is seeking more data to justify more parking. Do we have, at least in the form of the surveys that went out as part of the retail strategies, if we can get maybe some data before because this is an out year, we're not, loosening up the funds yet, but if we can get a little data that could at least back up the need for
we can do that based on citizen survey results also, but we've done counts of parking in downtown in the past.
I know you studied that. You have, but if we had our hands on the data, it would be helpful.
Yeah, and we haven't done the
those
counts
questions.
in a while, but we could update those and let you know kind of what existing parking utilization looks like in downtown before we
Get there.
spend the money. Yeah, right.
Thank you. I think that's very apropos. So we have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ford.
Aye.
Hager-Smith.
Aye.
Mattingly.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Watson.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Oliver.
Aye.
Do we have new business this evening?
I'd just like to ask the manager for an update on where the town sits. I know we get a lot of federal funding, and since that has been frozen and now maybe unfrozen, but only temporarily, where do we sit with that, specifically in regards to transit and housing?
Yeah, so the short answer is we don't know yet. The memo came out from the president yesterday afternoon, late or evening. That was essentially freezing federal assistance. That's grants, loans, all sorts of programs. Of course, that created a lot of chaos and confusion today across the country with anybody who receives any federal funding. And there was confusion as is it just funding that relates back to his executive orders that he's already signed? Initially, it was going to be a pause on all federal assistance, and they were going to give agencies some time to respond. And then we just heard, there's an article in the Wall Street Journal from just about an hour ago that says that a judge has blocked the federal assistance freeze. So it sounds like it's going to be talked about in the courts. But as you mentioned, the two major sources the town receives federal funding are our housing programs, affordable housing programs, and our transit system. And there's different sources of funding that come into those programs as well. So our staff is working to today to try to sort out how existing projects we have would be impacted, future projects are impacted. The transit funding flows from the federal government through DRPT at the state level, so we would obviously work with DRPT to sort that out. On the housing side, there's funding, CDBG funds, and then home funds that we administer for the region. And then they typically fund projects that have other sources of federal funding. So it's not as simple as just looking how the funding the town receives directly is impacted, but how are those other sources of funding that may, there may be an affordable housing project that has 5 or 6 different sources of funding going into it to make it work. So our housing staff is looking into that as well. But then now the judge has frozen this, so maybe that'll give us a little more time to sort it out. And then those are the funds that impact the town directly. Also, we're a college town, and the university, there's a lot of federal research money and a lot of federal money that goes in to fund the university too. And there's lots of different programs, lots of different research, funds research, but also funds people's salaries. So, that's also a concern for the community. And I know that Virginia Tech has probably been scrambling today to try to figure out what that means. So once we know more, we'll report back to you all on what that means. We did get an email from Senator Warner's office, right, that had a link where people could sign up, right?
I posted that on my town Facebook page, but in any event, there's a link to provide him information and to sign up for updates, which of course sounds kind of spammy to people, but I think that this is an area of such keen interest to people in town and in the region that they might want to visit Senator Warner's website and find out what the latest is. Yeah.
And federal funding touches every community across the country, right? No matter whether you're in a blue district or a red district, it touches every community across the country. So I'm sure every community like us is trying to figure out, what these what the memo meant yesterday, and then what this pause means. So when we have more information, we'll bring it back to you.
What about ARPA funding?
ARPA funding, I think, is okay. Is that right? From what we've learned, yes. The ARPA funding is okay. Yeah. But we are using ARPA funding to fund some housing projects that has other federal funding in it, so it could impact that indirectly, right?
Okay, thank you. Council announcements?
I'd like to let the public know that our Virginia Municipal League Legislative Day, Local Government Day, is coming up this week on Thursday in Richmond, and some of us are going to join our town attorney down in Richmond to lobby for things important to Blacksburg.
Any other announcements? Okay. In that event, we are adjourned, and we will enter a work session on Town Council strategic goals.